there are a lot of other economic discussions that need to be brought up. And unfortunately, they're not all positive. There has been a lot of negative discussions that's been happening right now about you as union members, as teachers, as contributors, as taxpayers. And unfortunately, what's happening is you're being scapegoated for the activities of others. And you're being scapegoated by the Wall Street community who is blaming you for the economic situation that you're in, despite the fact that we had billions of dollars of taxpayer money that had gone to Wall Street in order to bail them out. But now you're expected to have your benefits and your retirement security reduced in order to placate the actions that someone else had made. Why is that happening? Well, one of the reasons that's happening is because the CalSTRS system spends a great deal of time trying to bring accountability to Wall Street. One of the very effective ways that they do that is in the area of corporate governance. And what corporate governance does is quite a few things. And CalSTRS is extremely effective at that, and we thank them for the work that they're doing. The first thing that it does is creates better standards for corporate boardrooms and in corporate boards and the accounting profession. We haven't seen the best standards. Look at all the bailouts that have happened with the banks, and when we found out that the fact that corporate boards didn't always know what was going on, or they did, but they were doing things that were inappropriate or perhaps even illegal, we know that CalSTRS is there to try to change their actions from a systemic way so that we can see better returns for the stockholders. And who are the stockholders? You. That's your money that's being invested. So because that's your money that's being invested, CalSTRS is doing what they can to make sure that it's invested wisely. In addition, CalSTRS has done an excellent job trying to make sure that we have tough regulations in Washington to try to make sure that we don't get into the same kind of situation again. In addition to that, they've been doing a phenomenal job when it comes to reining in executive compensation for CEOs that unfortunately often do a horrible job and then get paid millions of dollars to leave. In addition to that, they're also working to try to ensure and enhance the ability to get more diversity on corporate boardrooms when it comes to not only ethnic diversity, but gender as well. Because when you have different minds there with different ideas, they can often have different creative approaches and therefore make a more effective company that's going to be more accounted to stockholders, you. So we've looked a little bit about the demographics of CalSTRS, and we've looked a little bit about the positive, and we've looked at the negative. I also want to talk about some additional economic factors that are having an impact not only within the state of California, but really on the nation as a whole. We've recently had many good reports that have come out of the National Institute on Retirement Security. We do have information and a link to this organization on the CTA website, and I would encourage you to go there for additional information. They, a few years ago, did a study and measured the economic impact on both state and local pension plans. And they looked at California in 2006 and realized that the pension plans in the state of California created over $23.5 billion in pension benefits to over 975,000 individuals. That has a major economic impact, and it's touching Californians all over the state. In addition, we had over $34.5 billion in total economic output that was created in the state. So if you were to multiply this on a national level, you begin to realize that public pension systems have played a major role in keeping a stable economic workforce and providing stable revenue for families to make a very modest living on. And that is one of the things that has been helping us to maintain a stable economy. Because if all of those pension benefits were to be reduced or eliminated in the state of California and on a national level, we would see a much worse economic situation for our state and for our nation than we see today. We do have a difficult road and some difficult challenges that we're going to have to go through, but the reality is we've had many difficult roads that we've had to go through in the past, and despite that, we've had a very wonderful and stable retirement system for close to 100 years now, and we're very excited about that. As of June 30th of 2010, CalSTRS had a portfolio of close to $130 billion, and I did say billion with a B. That's quite a bit of income, and that's because we have so many teachers within this great state of ours. So when you put all that money together, that provides quite a bit of revenue. But unfortunately, as a result of two things, both the dot-com bust that we saw in the early 2000s and the recent Wall Street economic bust, those two actions caused the CalSTRS portfolio to decrease significantly as they were not able to garner the appropriate levels of returns that they were hoping on. And as a result, we have a current shortfall. The technical term for this is an actuarial evaluation that takes place. So there's an obligation that they have to ensure they have enough resources to pay for all of their retirees for a 30-year period of time. CalSTRS conducted an actuarial evaluation, so it's like a fiscal snapshot, and realized that over a 30-year period of time that we're going to have a $40.5 billion shortfall. And this was as of last year. And that would leave CalSTRS at a 78% funded status. So what does this mean? There are a lot of large numbers, and we often hear conversations taking place publicly that we're going to have to pay all of that right away. Think of it like a mortgage. When you purchase a home, you don't have to pay for the whole home with your first check. You pay for it over a 30-year period of time. That's the situation that CalSTRS is in. So while they do have a shortfall to the fund, it's something that doesn't all have to be paid this year or next year. It's something that can be paid over a long period of time, and we could slowly increase the rate of contributions to the CalSTRS fund over time, and that's going to put it in a situation that's going to be strong enough to ensure that we're going to be able to have fiscal stability. A national level that tends to be one of the numbers that's used to say you have a good, stable retirement fund is to be at about 80% level of funding. So CalSTRS is right now a little below 80%, and they are going to have another actuarial evaluation that's going to take place that is going to make the current fiscal shortfall worse than it is, and we will see that number go down more. But in addition, it's something that has to be paid over a 30-year period of time. And in light that we have a severe economic shortfall, the reality is it makes many of the conversations more difficult about finding stable sources of income in the kind of economic environment that we have, without making the situation any worse for students in the classroom and teachers that are serving those students. So we're working within Sacramento to try to find some long-term solutions that are going to be fair to teachers, to students' families, and to taxpayers alike, and we're going to continue to have those conversations to make sure that we can fix this issue in a long-term way. I do want to let you know a couple other factors regarding the fiscal environment at CalSTRS, and some of these factors have been contributing factors to making the shortfall that we see within the CalSTRS system to making it grow. But it's not in a bad way, but it's in a way that's going to be more realistic and more transparent to the environment that we're looking at, and that's the current rate of return. CalSTRS has, over the past 10 years, had an 8% rate of return, but just a few months ago, the Teachers Retirement Board looked at their rate of return and said, we think we need to lower that rate of return to make sure that we're going to follow the market more effectively. And so they lowered that return from 8% to 7.75%. But by doing that, you're assuming that you're going to make less money over the long run than you were before. That's one of the reasons why the shortfall for the CalSTRS system is going to be at a higher number than $40 billion in the near future, is because they changed the rate of return. It's not because the $3,300 pension benefit that our retirees are receiving is too generous. It's not because of pension spiking scandals that we have at the CalSTRS system, because we have the defined benefit supplement system that helps to ensure that we don't have those kind of issues. But it is a factor of looking at the dot-com and the Wall Street bust, and the fact that the CalSTRS board had to reevaluate their rate of return and reduce it. Those factors are what caused the current shortfall at CalSTRS to grow, and we're going to work and try to find a solution to get us on the right footing again.